Chips on the table. I want the feel, but I need another percentage. I want the win. Lucky seven. Every time I walk in. You know? Every time I walk in. I'm the best thing. I'm the best thing. They all watch it. Every time we walk in. We the best thing.
Hi everybody, my name is Nichelle Desuatels and I am a field education trainer here in Vancouver, BC. Today we are going to be talking about Sebman, but first I wanted to start off by thanking Modern Beauty for having us on their Instagram from week to week. I know all of us have really enjoyed sharing our knowledge on here and coming on here, so thank you. Today I have Gianpaolo, I hope I said that right. He is a design team artist for Sebman, and he will be joining me today to show us everything about Sebman. So I will let him. Just connecting. There we go.
All right. How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me on the show today on the Insta Takeover for Modern Beauty. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Gianpaolo Colombo from Toronto, Canada. I'm a representative of Sebman education team. And today I'll be talking to you guys about some cool techniques that can be done with a razor blade on mid-length to longer hair. I was supposed to come out to out west about 2 months ago, but unfortunately I couldn't make it out there due to COVID-19 pandemic, and I missed out. I hope to make it up in the fall, maybe around October, November. I hope to come back out there to do a 2-day seminar. But thanks for having me on this Instagram takeover. Nichelle, thank you very much for the support as well.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
Awesome. So, anybody, today I'll be talking about Sebman. Sebman is a new men's grooming line, probably the newest in the market. It's great for millennials, it's great for all ages. What I like most about the line is it's very versatile. They break it down into 3 different categories. You have your care regimen, you also have your grooming regimen, and there's all different types of products that can meet everyday needs for all your men clientele, whether it's in a salon or a barbershop. So the first product I would like to share with you guys, it's one of my favorite. It's the newest product that just came out with Sebman. It's called The Boss. This is what The Boss is. It's the volumizing shampoo. I'll share that with you guys if you can see it. The Boss. Oh, that's the, there it is right there. That's The Boss, one of my favorite shampoos in the line. It's a new product, just came out. It gives the hair a lot of fullness and texture. So if you have clients that are having trouble with thinning hair, The Boss is the shampoo that's going to give them that extra support and added texture and grit. So it kind of gives them more of a fullness and thicker feeling to their hair. Another newest product I want to share with you guys, one of my favorites, which I'll be using later on in the segment, is the Joker. I love the name. I love the packaging and the smell. All Sebman products, the smell and the fragrance is beautiful. It's got bergamot, pepper to it. It's got a real nice, powerful, woody smell, which a lot of clients have been really talking about, and it keeps them coming back and buying more just based on the fragrance alone.
Yeah, I know a lot of my male clientele, as soon as they smell it, or it's like somebody in the sink next to me smells it, they're like, oh, what is that? They just want to get it.
No, the smell really, it's beautiful, and it's not too overpowering, but yet it does linger on your hair all day. So people kind of think you're wearing like a light cologne, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. So I'm watching the chat box, everybody. And then also if you look to the right of your comment bar, there is a little box with a question mark in it. You can always throw your questions in there. I'm here to kind of field questions for him today. So I can show you the techniques. And if you have anything to ask, I will pass it on.
Awesome. Yeah, and please feel free. Any questions, guys? If it's not to do with the haircut I'm doing or the products, I'm here to help you guys. Just want to cut some hair today. I want to share with you guys some cool techniques. The haircut I'll be doing today is more of a mid-length to longer haircut. I prepped the model here using the Boss shampoo. I'm not sure if you have it over there, Nichelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Boss shampoo here.
I prepped the models here with the Boss shampoo. It's going to give my model a lot more texture and grit and fullness, what we're looking for. Also, when you're working with a feather blade, you also want to have the hair kind of nice and damp, not too soaking wet and not too dry. If you are working with a feather blade, I recommend the hair to be damp. So this is a feather blade. It's one of my go-to razors. The reason is it's very lightweight. It's not too overpowering, and you have a lot of control. And you can hold it in different ways, which I'll be showing you guys as I'm cutting. It's a very, very cool technique. Nick just says, hair feels...
Long at the moment.
Oh, Nick, come on down, I'll give you a haircut. That's why I'm wearing a hat. I need a haircut too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all of us are dying to get our hair done.
Oh yeah, I definitely need my haircut. It's pretty bad, but you know what? I can't wait to get my hair cut, but I also can't wait to start cutting my clients' hair. I miss them so much in the salon, and hopefully that's soon. I know some of you guys are already back to work cutting out west. Here in Toronto, we're still kind of waiting to go back.
Yeah. So Nick said the sharpness of the blade lasts long with the feather blade.
Yeah, I do find that the feather blade does keep a strong edge and stays sharp. I like to, I probably replace it. Depends how thick or coarse the hair you're working with. Sometimes you can get away with going through the whole haircut with the same blade, but you'll start to notice as you start to feel a little bit of a crunching sound, it's time to change the blade, or a scraping sound. That means the blade becomes dull. But feather is definitely a great blade. It's Japanese steel, very well made. It's a great, great tool. And I suggest you guys all to try one if you don't have one. The haircut I'll be doing today, you can use any razor. Doesn't mean that you have to go buy a feather, but I do prefer a feather blade.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you prep the hair with anything before you go in with a razor?
So I like to prep the hair. I put a little bit of the hero in there. It's just going to help me get a little bit of slip. Yeah, I put just a drop of that. It gives me a little bit of texture. Helps me also glide the blade. And I like to cocktail it, okay, with the groom, which is the hair and beard oil.
That's a really cool cocktail.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting cocktail. A very little bit. I put 2-3 drops of the groom and just one little drop of the hero. Also, the hair was prepped with the Boss. And sometimes I like to also use Potion 9 Light. Potion 9 Light is a great wearable treatment, lightweight conditioner. I also like to use that when working with a razor.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Okay.
So you guys can just see here, I sectioned the hair into 4 parts. So a central back parting from the middle of the nose all the way back to the nape. Then I stopped here at the O bone. I subdivided the hair from the occipital bone to just the top of the ear. All right, so this is section 1. Section 2 is then from the top of the crown to behind the ear. I'll just move this out of the way so you can see that. All right, there's section 2, from top of the crown to behind the ear. I'm just going to clip that out of the way. So the technique I'll be using here to cut this long length haircut is a combination of techniques. Technique 1 would be skimming. Skimming is a great technique because it also, not only does it remove bulk and density in the hair, it also cuts length. So instead of you having to use your scissor and then going back and point cutting or texturizing the hair, removing bulk, you can do that all with your razor blade. Okay?
Amazing.
So my first section I want to work on is from ear to ear. Just going to mist it down a little bit of water and Potion 9 Light. I'm going to start with a 2-inch section in the middle of the nape. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Love using the blade. Yes, Nick, it's a great tool. A lot of people are actually hesitant in using a razor blade. The reason is either they had a bad experience or their client also had a bad experience. One tip I can share with you guys if you want to get comfortable in using a feather blade, especially on clients. So some clients don't like razor haircuts. I suggest that you kind of start using it in one section of the hair. It could be in the nape where it's really dense to remove that bulk and texture, and to get them used to that. So if you're using the blade, make sure it's on damp hair. Prep the hair really well. Now, whenever I'm going to be skimming this, I'm going to pick where my desired length is going to be. I'm actually going to raise this up a touch just so you guys can get a better. There we go. Can you guys see that better? Or is it too high? Still too high. Perfect.
There we go. That's perfect.
That's better. All right. I'm going to start right here in the back. I'm going to be coming in and skimming. So depending on how much weight removal you want is depending on how high you're going to use your skimming or start your skimming. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my skimming about 2 inches to 3 inches above my desired length. I'm going to pinch with tension where I want my length to end up, which is just below the base of the neckline. I'm going to come in very light strokes. You don't want to be too heavy-handed, and really light and soft. And you're going to come in and skim and remove that bulk and length all in one shot. Next section. Look for that skimming area, that zone you want to focus on, about 2 to 3 inches above your desired length. Skim and remove the length and bulk at the same time.
That's great.
What I like about this haircut, it's a fast technique and a great haircut to use on clients that have longer hair. There's a kind of a gray area of where do you approach a long haircut on a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you cut it really blunt? Do you cut it really square? How do you cut the front? So the reason why I like using the blade on longer hair clients is because it creates a lot of texture and softness and fluidity, a lot of movement. Is what you want. You don't want the hair to look too heavy and too bulky.
Mm-hmm. And men tend to like that more textured, just messy look versus having a very structured haircut.
Exactly. You want to have that undone texture, that messy look, that raw feel.
Yeah. So we have a question here. The question is, what is your favorite Sebman product?
Okay, so my favorite Sebman product is the Sculptor. But I actually like all the products. The Sculptor, the reason why I like it, you get it's a clay. Looks like that. All right, so it's a clay. What I like about it, you get a kind of a more of a matte texture feel. You have more control. It's a great product to use on all lengths of hair. I also like to cocktail it with the Groom, which is the hair and beard oil. So if you find that it's a little bit too matte, then I like to put 1 or 2 drops of the Groom, which is the hair and beard oil, into the Sculptor, and it's going to allow me to kind of break up that consistency and have it more pliable and malleable in the hair.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Yeah. Nick, you got to make it look manly.
You gotta make it look masculine. All right, so just come in here. Always stand in front of your section when you're working. Come in and skim all that weight and length all in one shot. Very light strokes. You don't want to be too heavy-handed. Always hold that tension right at the desired length.
Yeah, no, Nick, no blowouts. There's no blowouts. I don't think men would like the round brush.
Yeah, you know what? I rarely ever use a round brush or a vent brush on my male clients. It's always just air drying it, especially with longer hair. You want that natural texture to come out, make it look undone and very natural looking. I wouldn't be definitely blowing out their hair with a round brush.
Yeah.
All right, just check for balance. Then I'm going to go on to doing the next section. We're going to drop it right down. And you'll see how fast this haircut gets. So now I'm dropping down my next quadrant section, which is the crown. I'm going to comb everything down a natural fall. Just straight back. Very little hair you can see there is to cut because the mannequin doesn't have much of a density.
Mm-hmm.
Now, depending on your clients coming back into the salon, especially after this pandemic, their hair might be long, like this model I'm doing right now. So it's a good technique to kind of get your hands going, remove all that bulk and length and weight in one shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so comb it straight down, look for your guide, and I'm just going to kind of pinch for tension, skim and cut, and remove the length and bulk all in one shot.
Amazing. So Nick said he loves all the Sebman hair cutting tutorials, and those will all be found on the app. If you guys don't have the Sebman app, I definitely recommend getting it.
Yes, you know what? The Sebman app is great. There's a lot of quick tutorials to kind of guide you through different types of haircuts. There's the pompadour, there's the rockabilly. There it is. You can download the app on your phone, iPhone, and just scroll through all the different haircuts and little tutorials there that will help you behind the chair to gain confidence and also show your clients. You know, whenever you're working in the salon or the barbershop, clients ask for visuals. You know, whether they come in, the hardest thing for us is to relate to what they're telling us.
Yeah.
Right? So if they come in, they go, oh, I think I want short size and long top, maybe a part line. How do I go about doing that? So it's good to have visuals. I think the Sebman app will help with that, or even visuals on your phone, which are great consultation tools.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I always say my idea of short might be completely different from your idea of short. So it's always good to have visuals.
Exactly.
So there was a question asked.
When a client says take this much, you really want to take that much.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can always cut more off. You can't glue it back on.
Yeah. So there was a question. Nick was asking, is tension important?
Very important. Having tension with the blade is very important because you're going to have a consistent perimeter line. Now, keep in mind when you're working with cowlicks or unruly growth patterns, you want to ease up on tension because the hair can kick back up. So those are very important to understand where to put the tension. But I like to always have tension when working with the blade, especially when going in my perimeter line and in my interior layering. Where I ease up is on the cowlicks or the growth patterns.
Okay, that's a really good tip.
So there you can see my back perimeter line is done. It doesn't look super straight or too blunt. It's got a lot of softness. The perimeter line is really shattered, has a lot of movement to it. So my back perimeter line is done using a skimming technique, all a natural fall, working in a square perimeter line, skimming about 2 inches above my desired length with tension, holding out my consistent tension where I want my length to end up.
Mm-hmm.
The next section now, working towards the side, I'm going to drop the side panel out. I'm going to take a diagonal section from the front of the hairline right to meet my back section just behind the ear, which is my length in the back. I'm going to put this out of the way. Okay. Now I'm going to work on my sides.
Awesome.
So what you want to do is to establish your guideline in the front. I'm just going to turn my mannequin around here. So depending on where your client wants their first layer to be or their length to end up in the front, this is going to be my guideline that I'm going to use from the front, then to connect into my back perimeter. So depending on how short they would like it, that's where you're going to start your first guide in the front. So I'm taking a 1 inch section. I'm going to point it use 0 degrees elevation. I'm going to leave it longer. I'm going to cut it around the lip area. So I'm going to come in here and skim on a slight diagonal. See how my blade is on a diagonal?
Mm-hmm.
It's not horizontal. Slight diagonal. I'm going to come in and just skim and remove that weight and length in one shot. Now, I'm going to use a soft diagonal line going from the front of the lips all the way to the back, connecting my back perimeter, which is right here. So whenever I'm cutting a line, it could be any line. It could be a straight line. It could be a diagonal line. I like to work with 2 points. So I have a guide here in the front I just created at the lips, and I have my guide in the back corner here. I'm going to connect those using a visual diagonal line working my way back. The reason why I like to work with 2 points at all times whenever I'm cutting a line, it's like before you get in the car, what's the first thing you do?
Turn the car on, or before you get in the car, look around the car.
You have to turn the car on to move, right?
Yeah.
But you want to know, before you turn the car on, you know where you're going. You
Yeah.
know what direction you're going. So when you work with 2 different points, when you're cutting any line, it's easier to understand where you're starting, which is the lips at the front, and where I'm ending, which is the back corner. And I visualize those 2 points, and I'm going to cut anything in between at any desired angle I want, whether it's horizontal or diagonal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a question there, Nick?
So there was a question he asked. There was a question. He said, if the hair was thicker, would you elevate the hair?
Yeah, if the hair was more dense, I definitely would elevate it a little bit at 45 degrees coming off the head shape to help soften and remove more of that weight. The model here, the mannequin texture I'm dealing with is very fine, so I'm cutting it more at 0 degree elevation.
Mm-hmm.
My fingers are on a diagonal line. I'm going to work skimming, going from short to long on a slight diagonal as I work my way down. Visualizing my end up point right here behind the ears.
Are you still skimming about 2 to 3 inches above your desired length?
Yeah, I'm still skimming about 2 to 3 inches above my desired length. Holding attention at the perimeter, coming down and cutting that line.
Now, on if you were doing men's hair, would you always work on a diagonal when cutting the perimeter on the sides versus doing same length all around?
You know what? That's a great question. I like a diagonal line because it forces the hair to go away, to basically travel away from the face.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're working with a diagonal line, you're cutting it from shorter to longer, which allows the shorter hair to push the longer hair back. So a lot of guys with longer hair, they always push their hair out of their face.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of cutting it a full blunt line on the guy, I like to kind of take it a little more rounder or diagonal, working my way from shorter down back into square in the back or rounded, depending on what shape you like to work with. It just allows the hair to have a lot more movement and freedom for them to move it out of their face.
Beautiful. Like an Italian soccer player, yes.
Yeah, this is Pirlo. All right, next section. Just going to drop it all down in one shot. Comb it straight down. You can see my guide underneath. So you can see how fast I'm going here, cutting this perimeter line. Hands on a diagonal. Skim 2 inches above your desired length. Hold that tension for your length and cut. Next section. Come in, skim. And skim. See my length in the back? So I'm bringing everything to that corner.
Beautiful.
Okay. So this side is now done. You can see I have a soft diagonal line happening. The hair can flow back. All right.
Yeah, it's very soft.
Next section, the other side. I'm going to take that diagonal section, starting here at the front of the face, which is the middle of the nose, right back to behind the ear. And we're going to cut this section here, which is the diagonal section. working with 2 points. We have 1 point of our guide in the back, behind the ear, right here, and our guide that we created here in the front, which is at the lip area. There's my guide. Okay, I'm going to come in, hold my finger angle on a diagonal. So I'm working with a diagonal line, working my way from the front of the lips right back to behind the nape area in the back. Hold my blade about 2 inches above my desired length. I'm going to skin very gently. Remove that weight. Okay? And just end up with a soft perimeter line at 0 degrees elevation. Depending on the density of your hair, which Nick asked before, if the client did have thicker, coarse hair, I'll be elevating the hair away from 0 degrees and bringing it more straight out, or straight out off the head at about a 45-degree angle.
And do you do that just because it diffuses more of the weight?
It makes it more less heavy for sure, and helps diffuse that weight.
Perfect.
Okay, come down using a diagonal section, fingers on the diagonal, and so is my razor. I don't want to be cutting horizontal, or I don't want to be cutting a diagonal line with my fingers horizontal and my blade horizontal. Very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to mirror your finger angle with your cutting angle. So fingers on a soft diagonal, and my blade's going to go on a diagonal. I'm going to come in and skim 2 inches above my desired length, remove that weight, and length all in one shot. Right into the back perimeter line.
So MT95 says crazy precision, master at work.
Oh, thank you. That's a compliment. Thank you very much. So now I'm just going to check for balance, right? There's a method to madness. You just don't go in there and just cut and with your razor. You want to always check for balance. Make sure there's a little bit of balance in the haircut at all times, whether it's a razor or a scissor. Because once my perimeter is in place, this is my foundation, this is my house, I can go in there and do whatever I want into the interior. As long as I'm using finger angles and degrees, right? There's different degrees you can use inside the head shape. And I'll show you right now. I'll use my layering technique, how easy it's going to be because my foundation is in place.
Now I notice when you take your section, you're always working on a diagonal line. Is that because you are working on a diagonal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So diagonal lines, they fall softer versus horizontal lines when cutting. And because I'm working from shorter to longer, from shorter being from the lips to longer being to the back perimeter line here, which is more square, it helps me when I'm cutting.
Yeah.
So I'm almost done my perimeter line. I'm going to move into doing my interior line. Now this is where it gets fun. All right. So the perimeter is all done.
Beautiful.
Okay, so there's a diagonal line going into a square line in the back. So now I'm going to go and do my layering. My layering technique is fun. The reason why I say that because it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of making things complicated, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my section from the center back, from the top of the crown right to the middle of the nape. I'm going to come in and start layering. So this is where this technique, the way I'm using my razor and my hands, is what makes it look effortless. So we usually layer hair with a razor like this. So if I want to cut 90 degrees square from the head shape, we usually cut the razor going down like that, right? Well, it's very hard to have that control and consistent angle at 90 if you're pushing the hair down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pushing the hair straight out of the head and cutting from the bottom up. So I'm combing the hair vertical. I'm going to pinch and grab where my length is, pinch the hair at 90 degrees from the head shape, put my blade in flat, not horizontal, it's flat, and skim and cut straight up, traveling up the head shape at 90 degrees.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So that's going to give me a perfect 90-degree layer, square layers, following the head without having the confusion of finding your guide and cutting traditionally down the razor going this way, where I'm going to be going from the bottom up. So straight out of the head shape, creating a square layer, pinch your length, which is your guide, 90 degrees from the head shape, pinch and skim and cut, working your way up the head shape, cutting a perfect 90-degree layer instantly and fast. That's what we want. We want it effective and fast, right? Next
Yeah,
section.
amazing tip. Everybody's loving it.
All right, everyone's digging it. So next section, come in, again, straight up from the head shape, square, straight back. I'm going to pinch at my desired length, find my perimeter line. Let some perimeter drop out so you don't kind of go into the perimeter line. You want to keep it a little more dense down here. Come in, skim 2 inches above that, remove that bulk, travel your razor all the way up the head shape, 90 degrees, removing the weight and length in one shot. Straight back from behind the ears, same thing. Pinch it, allow for some perimeter to drop, come in, skim, 90 degrees, creating square layers. See that?
Beautiful.
All right.
Nick says the master.
The master. Thanks, Nick. You're the best, buddy. You're the master, too. I miss you. I haven't seen you in a long time, Nick. Okay, come in. Same thing. You're going to pinch cut, holding at 90 degrees from the head shape. Skim and travel up your razor going upwards at 90 degrees. Next section, so see how fast you can move? Next section, pinch at 90 degrees from the head shape, creating square layers, and work your way up the head shape, creating that softness. Next section, right behind the ears, we're going to pull it straight back. The reason why I'm over directing it back behind the ears is because I don't want to create a hole behind the ears here. So I'm going to over direct the hair back, this last section, keeping it square. I'm going to pinch cut it right from the perimeter line. I'm going to stand over here so you guys can see this. All right, so you're going to hold it straight back. Pinch your perimeter. Allow for some hair to drop and come in and skim right out at 90 degrees, removing that hair in one shot. Okay, so that's all done. All the layers are in there. All that texture and movement is all done.
Yeah, it's quick too.
Yeah, it's very quick, which is great. So next section, now we're at the top of the crown. Comb it right back. We're going to get this all in here. And continue to the same technique as you work your way up the head shape. All right, so now I'm going to start from where I left off. There's my guide right in here. Come in, skim, work your way up the head shape at 90 degrees, creating square layers.
Amazing.
All right.
And if you guys have any questions, don't feel free to ask them.
Away. Any questions with men's hair?
Oh, so how long would you book out for a men's cut in the salon?
Usually I book about 30 minutes per men client. It depends, how long or short their hair is. Sometimes you need a little more time. But I find 30 minutes is a good time for me. Now, depends on your speed. It depends on, how much you're charging. Sometimes, your price can dictate how long you have to cut or allow your time to be allocated towards each clientele in the salon. I usually do 30 minutes.
Amazing.
Because you don't want to rush the haircut. So give yourself enough time, but really, I think 30 minutes, max 45 on a guy client, it's more than enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to maximize your ticket price. You want to get, want to be busy behind the chair, where if you're doing an hour and a half men haircuts or an hour men haircuts, maybe you're kind of sabotage how much money you'll make at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's where retailing comes into hand, right? Upselling your clients, talking about the products, right? I find that, men clients in the salon, you tell them about a product, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what to use on their hair, right? So I find whenever I'm talking about the men's products in the salon, Sebman products, once I open the bottle, the fragrance and smell sells on its own.
Yes, definitely.
Especially the multitasker, which is the 3-in-1 shampoo care product from Sebastian. It's the shampoo, beard wash, and body wash. So imagine one product is 3 things.
Yeah.
Right? So for people who have a busy lifestyle, guys have a busy lifestyle that are running from the gym to go home to take their kids to soccer, and then maybe at night they have a gig at playing an instrument at a bar. It's a great product for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I know my boyfriend has a multitasker and he loves it.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So we have some questions.
Yes.
Which Sebman product is good for slicking the hair back if a guy has thick, heavy hair? That's a great question.
Great question. So thick, heavy hair, my go-to would be either the Hero or the Player. Right? So either the Player, which is our medium hold gel, or I go with the Hero, which is our moldable working gel as well. The difference is there's more shine with the Hero, a little more flexibility in terms of moving the hair and slicking it back. Also on a hot day, I find it kind of heats up and becomes almost like a wax-like texture.
Mm-hmm.
So either one is great for slicking dense hair back. I find the Hero is a little more stronger.
Yeah. Then we have another question. Do you blow dry the hair if it's thick?
So if it's thick, I would still air dry the hair, or I'll use a bent brush. The reason why I say no round brushes, I just find that it gets too much volume and kind of looks a little bit too blown out, right? So if I am going to have, the client does have thick hair, I like to use a bent brush or just quickly power dry it with the hands and just go over it just lightly with a bent brush to make it smoother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I'll use my blow dryer, but I'll have my diffuser on it, so I'm not directing the hair in any way, but helping getting some of the moisture out with my diffuser.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good technique.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there we have it. The back is done. We have all our layers in place. So if I tilt it upside down, there's a perfect square layer, right?
Yeah.
All done with your feather blade.
It's amazing.
So now I'm going to go into the sides. Same technique, skimming.
Okay. So we have a question here. Is there a product if a guy has curly hair and wants to tame frizz and encourage curl?
Yeah, so a product I like to use if a client has frizz and curly hair, I definitely like the cocktail. It could be the Hero with some of the Groom, which is the hair and beard oil. So I like to put a couple of drops of the Hero, which is more of a waxy gel-like texture, with the Hero, which also help with the oil, will also help with the frizz. Sometimes, a lot of men clients tend not to go for hairspray, but a light hairspray, which is the fixer, is also a great thing for humidity, to control humidity. So even if you just put a little bit of the Hero on curly hair, air dry it, or the Player, which is the gel, air dry it to almost semi-dry, and then just finish it off with a little bit of the fixer hairspray will keep the humidity out.
Amazing.
Okay, now we're on to the sides. Let that perimeter fall and drop. I'm going to come in and skin cut at 90 degrees, following the head shape, working my way up. So as long as I let my perimeter line drop, but just a little bit of drop out, it gives me an indication or a starting point of where I'm going to start to cut my layers. So I'm allowing that perimeter to drop out. You see that? Come in, holding it 90 degrees square to the head shape, and cut that length and create those layers. So you see how fast this technique is once you get going? You can really go fast and remove all of that bulk and layers all in one shot, keeping the integrity of the perimeter still there. That side is now done. I'm going to move on to the other side. Okay.
Now, would you ever go any more than 2 to 3 inches or any less than 2 to 3 inches with skimming?
So it all depends on how dense the hair is. If the hair is, I find if the hair is more thick, I like to go a little more deeper with my skimming. If the hair is less thick or less dense, I go a little bit less with my skimming. So it all depends on how much hair your client has. You know, another thing is too, you have to be careful when you're talking about thinning hair around men. They get scared. You know, there's 70% of men complain about thinning hair, hair loss. Sebman has just came out with 3 great products to help with that, right? The first product is the Boss. It's a great thickening shampoo that adds texture to the hair. And I'm telling you, it works. Once you wash your hair with that thickening shampoo, the Boss, you'll feel texture to your hair. You'll feel thickness. What clients want, especially men clients that complain about their hair thinning. Then I like to follow up with the Booster. The Booster is a great product from Sebman. They also came out to help with thinning hair. The Booster adds texture and fullness, similar to Diamax, if you're familiar with Naloxone. It's similar to Diamax. It's going to make the hair feel thicker, have more texture and grit, but also increase the diameter of every hair on that head. So I like to use that for thinning hair clients. And then you can follow up with the Joker, which is a dry shampoo, who sometimes clients with longer hair don't like washing their hair. They like that old rugged feel. The oils start to set in. So they kind of, you know, dry shampoo is also a great product to absorb those oils, leaving the hair fresh, and also give it fullness and texture. Hope I answered that question. I know I rambled off for a bit there, but I hope I answered all those questions.
Yeah, you definitely answered that. That's amazing.
So same thing, straight up from the head at 90 degrees. Let some perimeter drop, come in, skin, and remove that length. And creating those beautiful fluid layers inside the interior. So my last section, just comb it straight back. You can see my guide has just dropped out. Okay, straight back, pinch cut right here. You pinch at 90 degrees, come in, skin, remove that weight, and create that 90-degree square layer. And that's all done. So my perimeter line is done. If some of you guys just join me right now, I'll just quickly recap my perimeter line. I went in creating more of a diagonal shape from the lips all the way back to more of a square feel in the perimeter line in the back. I then went into creating 90-degree layers, following square layers, creating a lot of fluidity and movement, just allowing the hair to kind of flow, creating square layers using my feather blade. So now I'm going to go and show you another cool technique that I like using my feather blade. Next one I'm going to show you guys is something called penning. It's a real cool technique, especially for clients that have dense, thick hair. It's similar to point cutting, but it's a lot faster. So come in, I'm holding my razor blade like a pen or a pencil. I'm just going to be using just the tip. Holding the blade vertical, I'm going to come in and just gently go in and remove that weight and open up internal spaces in the hair using a pen cutting technique. So always look for where the hair is more dense and where you want to add some more of that mass or get rid of that mass inside the hair. So similar to point cutting, but quicker.
Okay.
Come in and pen cut that hair, open up that internal space in movement using my feather blade.
Yeah, that is a great technique, Nick. I agree.
Right? It's fast, effective, similar to point cutting, but done with your feather blade, just using the tips going in there.
I almost feel like you'd have more control than point cutting too, because you can get deeper in the hair.
You can definitely get a lot deeper. You know, point cutting, you can only get as deep as how long your shear is.
Yeah.
So I find that with my blade, I have more control and I can go in a lot deeper and remove that thickness and weight.
Amazing. Yeah.
Share the technique right here. Come in, blade goes flat, just kind of sliding it gently, removing those dense areas and creating that separation and internal movement that I want, creating a pen cutting technique or using a pen cutting technique. Onto the side, same thing, come in, especially where it's really dense, I'm gonna go in there and just slightly remove that bulk.
So we have a question. Would these techniques be good with curly hair?
So that's a great question. A lot of people don't like cutting curly hair with a razor. They feel like it disrupts the curl pattern, right? So there's, goods and bads to that. I think this will help the curly hair in certain areas on the head. Think of curly hair as a crowded dance floor, right? You have to open spaces around you for the hair to shine and really come to life. So either it's going to be notching it and creating irregular pieces in curly hair, whether it's shorter bits and longer bits, allowing that curl to kind of shine and pop out from each other, because we want to create negative and positive spaces. So what I like about when I use a pen cutting technique, if I am working on curly hair, I'll do that technique probably from below the crown down. I'll go in and just open up spaces and just allow that curly hair to kind of remove that extra density, so it's more airy for the curl to kind of open up and dance. Now, another thing when you are cutting hair with a razor, using a razor on curly hair, if the hair is curly, just to show you guys an example, if this is a curl, see that? I'm not sure you can see that, but if this is a curl, I'm not going to cut, I'm going to cut right on that beginning of the bend of the curl with my blade. Okay, so I'm going to come in and just go in and use the blade in the internal area of that curl. That's going to allow the curl to kind of take the weight off and allow it to open up a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I would use, on certain clients, I would use a blade for curly hair.
Yeah.
All right, almost done. Go on to the other side, same idea, using a pen cutting technique. All right, so make sure the hair is semi-damp at all times. I'm going to come in and pen that hair right out, opening up some spaces. Any questions? Any other questions?
No questions yet.
All right.
I think what I love about doing this haircut with the blade is you create so much texture immediately in the hair that you don't have to go back in and texturize it afterwards.
Exactly. You're basically killing two birds here with one stone. You're creating a lot of texture, and you're removing that bulk and cutting length at the same time.
Nick says he's loving this live.
All right, Nick, I love you, buddy. Thank you for the support. All right. So I just went in there using my pipe cutting technique. So you can see here that earlobe is starting to come out about.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So now I want to just do some more detailing with my feather blade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take horizontal sections on the top. Now, I'm going to do another technique called peeling. Peeling is a great technique you can do with your blade. gonna mist a little bit of that water on there, and also put a little bit of the booster to give you some added texture and fullness and thickness. Similar to Diamax, it's gonna add the hair, have a lot of texture, and give the hair a lot of fullness, especially for thinning hair many clients. So I'm gonna put that on.
So Shay Dempsey, yes, that is the feather blade that he's using.
Yes, Shay. What's up, brother? So now I'm on to my top section. I'm just gonna come in, taking horizontal sections, straight up, and I'm gonna use a peeling technique, using the tip of my blade, just to create some texture and softness, and remove some of that length as well on the top.
Beautiful.
So depending on how deep you want to go in with your peeling, remove all of that bulk and create those beautiful irregular bits, especially on the crown here.
We have a question from Laura. She says, how do you cross-check to make sure both sides are the same?
Great question. How I'm going to cross-check this haircut, I'm going to be taking a horizontal section, lift it straight up at 90 degrees, and I'm going to cross-check it.
Amazing.
So once I cut my top section, I'm going to go back in and cross-check it horizontally. But as long as you're using that skimming technique and holding the hair square, creating square layers, there's very little cross-checking that has to be done. So right now I'm creating square layers on the top, holding the hair straight up towards the ceiling. I'm going to come in using a pen cutting technique, using just the tip of my blade and my thumb, pressing the blade and my thumb to create those nice shattered pieces and create that really regular feel on top. All right, straight back, over direct to front, same thing. Come in and just pen cut and create all that soft, irregular texture. So I'm just going to go in and cross check it. All right, straight up. Check that. Okay, so it's pretty even there. Check the other side. You can kind of see the texture and the movement you have in that hair, right? A lot of flow, a lot of movement. You want it to kind of look undone and messy. You don't want to look perfect here. You want the hair to look raw. That's the beauty of it. When you're cutting hair with a blade, you're creating a lot of internal texture and movement. You want the hair to kind of have that flow. You don't want it to look so blunt and solid, right? What do you guys think of that? You like that shape?
Yeah, I like it. Throw some hearts if you like that, guys.
Okay, next section here, just gonna cross check this. Straight up, come in and just pen cut the top. I mean, peel cutting the top. Horizontal sections.
So Laura asked, how do you know when to change your blade?
How do I know the what?
When to change your blade?
Great question, Laura. How do you know when to change a blade? You start to hear a little bit of a crunching sound. Also, when you're cutting, you start to feel like it's not cutting like when you first opened the blade and first started using it. Those are things that you want to try to avoid, using a dull blade on your client. Because then it feels uncomfortable. It almost feels like you're pulling the hair. So make sure as soon as you start to hear that little bit of that crunchiness or that scraping sound, it's time to change the blade.
Amazing. I love the shape. It looks so good.
Thank you.
I'm actually excited to get back into the salon because I feel like through quarantine, a lot of men have decided to grow their hair out. So
Yeah,
we're going to create some hair.
A lot of longer men clients, lot more longer shapes. Maybe some, clients or men clients want to leave their hair longer. So that's why I wanted to share with you guys this haircut today, because you might have to cut more longer shapes because they might actually be digging their long hair.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, oh, well, if they grow their hair out, then I don't see them often. I usually see clients coming in for the fades or the shorter haircuts. But you want your clients to say, if you want to grow your hair, I'm going to help you grow your hair, right? You want them to come back every 5 to 6 weeks or 7 weeks. And you tell them, I'm going to help you grow your hair long. How are we going to do that? We're going to texturize it and continue to give it shape as your hair grows out. You just don't cut your hair short and come back in a year to grow your hair out. You want the client to come back in and help you shape that, help you texturize it, get rid of that bulk and density to help them grow their hair out long.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we've got 4 more minutes left.
All right.
Did you have a finished look for us, or?
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly finish this one off right here.
Perfect.
Okay. So you can see there's a lot of shape and movement in there. You guys see all those layers? A lot of texture, which is what we want, and kind of have that undone feel and raw texture to the hair. What do you guys think? You like that?
Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Got lots of hearts and claps and.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the love. So I'm just going to finish off with the hair right now. The hair is semi-damp. It was prepped with the booster, which is our thickening spray, as fullness and thickness. I'm going to use a little bit of the sculptor, which is our matte clay from Sebastian. It's going to give me more texture in there. Yes, you can use this on damp hair. All right, so I'm going to really work that in. Smells amazing. Smells awesome. Going to go in there and just kind of zhuzh the hair a little bit, creating that movement and texture. All right. Work that product in there. A lot of texture and shape.
I love how it brought out the natural texture as well.
Yeah, it really brought out that nice wave in there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Beautiful.
And that's the finish of that look. I wouldn't want to put too much product in there. I kind of want the hair to do, really that natural texture to show and really come alive. So a little bit of the protector at the end, just to kind of give it a little bit of a matter feel, and just let the hair come alive and do its thing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Hope you guys enjoyed that haircut.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. He did an amazing job. Don't forget to go follow him on Instagram. It's Gianpaolo Hair. Is that right? On Instagram?
Yes, don't follow him on Instagram. You can find me on there, and definitely, thanks for tuning in today, guys. If there's anything I can help you with, you can message me, DM me. I'll be there to help you guys. And stay tuned for more videos, hopefully to come in the future. Thanks for tuning in. I'll definitely be coming out to out west soon to showcase some other looks. We can also do a lot of fading and a lot of blade work and beards. So thank you so much for having me today at Modern Beauty. And thanks to my beautiful host here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I had a wonderful time today. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday, same time, same place, to learn a little bit more about nioxin. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Love you. Hope to get back to work soon. Let's have a shot. We need a shot. Hold on, one quick shot. Cheers, guys. Let's get back to work.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.